Hey guys, it's been a hot minute since I have been on YouTube. I do apologize, but I have been away helping all my mentees, building out my programs, and developing a very, very cool book for you guys. So there's a lot in the pipeline at the moment, which is very, very exciting. But obviously, it's way too early for me to show or announce any of that kind of stuff other than tell you it's happening. So today, I wanted to have an art talk with you, and I wanted to go over some of the latest in the AI art trends that we've been seeing and kind of talk about that in context of how it might affect the entertainment industry. So I have some notes in front of me. So if you see me looking down every now and then, I'm not, just faking it by having a script read in front of me. This is real time. I'm just looking at notes. All right. So forgive me if I'm riffing, but I wanted to try and deliver as much information to you as possible. I've digested this for quite a while now since we've been seeing this stuff. It's been a few weeks already. And I wanted to get a better sense of what you guys are feeling by chatting to you, of course, around the communities and also watching a bunch of fellow YouTuber videos and getting a sense of what's happening there and their opinions and sort of digesting everything, taking a step back, looking at it, and then this is kind of what I have to present to you guys today. So right now we are seeing what I predicted in my earlier AI art video, which is technology will improve, right? It will improve, it will get better at certain things. And we're starting to see that. So I would say the most glaringly obvious thing we've seen recently is that they have somehow figured out how to replicate style, right? That means that a veteran artist of 20 years, if they have a massive body of work and you suddenly show them a quick drawing that's done by AI, they might not know if that's theirs or not, right? They can look at it and go, that looks like my work. It's like that close, right? So I think this spooked a lot of artists in the community. And it honestly upset a bunch of us in a deep level because we are all massive Studio Ghibli fans. And of course, when we see our idols being torn apart, and commercialized and commoditized, we feel gutted, right? We're like, why the hell is this happening, right? So I get it, right? We are a completely different breed to the people who are doing this kind of stuff. We would never do it. So I want to talk a little bit about, obviously, we can talk about the gray area as well, which is, there's a ton of legal implications around this technology. There's a lot of gray area where these companies are claiming legal loopholes like fair use and whatever in order to produce this kind of stuff. And of course, not compensate us as artists. And all of that, in my opinion, is pretty crummy. It's pretty bad. It is definitely indicative of some larger greedy corporate monster, but I don't think it's sustainable, mainly because right now they're just, it's pure exploitation. They're just taking everything that exists, they're pumping it into data sets and exporting everything to us. And the issue, of course, with that is manifold. We also have the risk that those companies have, which is limited data sets, right? So how long, my question is to you, all of those AI guys out there and the people using this technology, how long before we are incredibly oversaturated by everything we see, right? Yes, there's a ton of variety in the art world, but is there enough to be commercially viable? And I think without addressing the issue up front, I think that they're going to run into a lot of problems. The artists are going to become more protective of their work, whether they glaze it or whether they use nightshade to poison it, to put it out there and sort of corrupt the AI systems. We're going to see a lot more of that. My question, of course, is how do they curate that? How do they stop that from happening? Because if I'm putting myself in their position, it's like, how would I stop that in order to have a product that could just serve more and more of this stuff to people out there and I could make more and more money, right? So I don't know how they do that. There might be a way. I don't see how, considering that the data set scraping is at such a large scale that it seems automated. It doesn't seem like it's curated by humans. I could be wrong about that, but that just seems how it is. I just feel like at some point we're going to reach some kind of pinnacle of this whole thing where the companies realize in order to remain profitable, they're going to have to offer licensing deals to individual artists to either produce work and unique work and whatever in order to improve the data sets and put it out there. or they're just going to run into some kind of snake eating itself scenario where the data sets that are being collected are not good, right? They're just poor data sets, they're the same images, or they are corrupted images. And so the system slowly starts to degrade over time. I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen, but I'm not a technologist. I can't say for certain if that's a threat or not, but it seems to me like that could be a threat. All right. So, secondly, and by the way, all you AI art bros who watch this stuff, and you did watch my last art videos on this, and you did comment, so I appreciate that. And if you guys are out there, do comment below and let me know if any of this is possible. Right? These are all just theories that I'm coming up with from observing what's in front of us. So it's starting to feel to me like this whole AI art thing is just kind of like junk food in the art world. It's like it's fast, it has crummy ingredients, and it's not good for us, right? So are we going to just as a society consume this stuff? Are we going to consume it and say that's delicious? Maybe it's tasty for 5 seconds. Maybe it does serve a purpose. For example, I've seen this stuff being used in social media posts from people that haven't got a creative bone, in banners and things like that. And it suits the purpose. It's fine on paper, right? It's not hyper designed. It's not hyper intentional. It's not super creative, but it falls into that middle zone, right? Where perhaps it could work for those people for a limited time. For example, everybody now is doing the Studio Ghibli thing, and then there's the Simpsons thing, and then there's the whatever thing. And soon people are just going to be kind of tired of it. And I'm getting tired of it. And people I know who aren't artists are getting tired of it because it's everywhere all the time, nonstop. And it's kind of like when something's cool, like in the first early days of Photoshop, and I'm really showing my age here, people used to be obsessed by this filter called the lens flare. And they used to put it on their work and be like, oh my gosh, this lens flare looks amazing. I'm such a great artist. You just click the button, right? And I just feel like nothing has really changed from those days. It's like if AI is the new lens flare, then I think that the art world in general is going to slowly, well, we're already rejecting it. I feel like the real world is going to start to reject this stuff because it just becomes corny. It just becomes overplayed. It just becomes monotonous, like I said earlier. And so I think creativity, human creativity, is going to win in the end. I think that what we do as artists in the entertainment industry is super hard to replicate. Having worked on big productions, I've seen massive conglomerate of artists and creatives come together to make a product. It's never just one individual's dream. It's not a J.K. Rowling vision. It's Rowling, one of those. It's not an individual who's doing this stuff, right? That's very rare. That's like the tip of the spear of the spear of the spear for the kind of people who can do that. And even then, how many people help them with that vision, right? So the creative pool of entertainment industry, the ability to riff on one another, to have those lunchtime conversations, with programmers or other people where you're discussing back and forth and solving problems in real time is something that I don't know how AI can solve. I just don't see it. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it since it started. I haven't seen it now. And it's that raw creativity and problem solving that we do as humans that is so complicated and so nuanced that I don't know how something that's just purely trained on data sets and purely trained on what has been can create. And there is that argument of would the Renaissance have ever existed if all the history before it hadn't happened? And it's that spark of creativity that happened and then was pushed and then monetized and then riffed on by different artists in different times. The Italians following the Greeks, etc., etc. Like none of that would have happened without preceding information and knowing how to digest that information in a creative way and then output it again into the world. And this is what I have been seeing. This is what I have been feeling is like, oh my gosh, we're just getting tired, right? This is like exhausting to look at. It's starting to get like feel old. It's starting to, we're not, we as humans, we crave novelty. We crave the new. We crave the creative and interesting and different. And that's where I don't know how this works. Like for the AI companies and the technology at large, I can't help but feel it's going to be more of a provided service for a blanket of solutions, let's call it visual solutions. And right now, I think it's being oversold to us in order to make more money out of it and to ride the trend and have as much and as many people jump in and on it. And we've seen that it's worked. Okay, so these people, these companies who are employing very, very expensive, well-paid engineers, everybody's being paid very, very well right now, but we aren't in the community, and obviously that's a massive problem. um so yeah, there is that thing, right, where it's like, would Blade Runner exist? Would Star Wars exist? Would the Mona Lisa have been painted? Would the Cathedral of the Notre Dame be made? I don't know. I don't know if that would be possible under the circumstances of having nothing original at the base and then only stealing ideas from others. You know, it's like, how good can you be just copying the great master? You might never be great yourself. It's that whole thing of like, oh, I want to be just like XYZ artist. Well, if you study their work forever, you will be a knockoff of that artist. You won't be that artist. But if you start to imbue who you are as a creative human being into your work and being influenced by that artist, you will potentially become a really great artist in your own right. So that's about it. I just feel like AI art's sort of a tool. For me, it's at the end of the day, I was a little bit worried about it. And now I just feel like it's not really that big of a deal because I can't see how it can actually escalate to the point at which it replaces human creativity. If anything, it's going to replace the low end, maybe a little bit of the middle, but everything above that will just be artisanal and, you know, specialized. And I feel like that's a great place actually for artists to exist, right? That's where we should exist. But it does slightly potentially lag some of that early development in artists. And it can also, if misinterpreted as some kind of godlike being of creating the most amazing things, it can demoralize people. And I hope that you watching this right now don't feel that way after hearing what I've said. And I just don't see how it can push past these limits. I think society needs new artists. I think it needs new ideas. I think it needs a next wave of creatives to build new IPs that people really want to engage with. So that's my opinion. I think it's just a tool, not really a big deal. If you guys would also like to let me know what you're thinking, what you have experienced, I would love to hear you chat about it. Tell me about it in the comments below. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you with my next video.